Hola, soy yo, Vicky, del Príncipe Center, otra vez. It's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded a video because I've had a little rana in my garganta, a little frog in my throat. But I've got my tea ready, so hopefully, if I do have a little cough here and there throughout the video, excuse me, please. So I hope you've been practicing your Spanish. I hope you've been finding the videos useful. Thank you for all the nice comments that I've received, and thank you to those who have gone ahead and bought the books that accompany the YouTube videos, though of course they're not essential. So today we're in Break the Language Barrier Level 2, the pain barrier. Oh, I held it up the right way this time. And we're going to look at ser and estar, the old favourite, the comparisons of ser and estar in the present tense and the present perfect, which as far as the purpose of these tutorials goes and the progress that I'm making through my books, these are the two tenses that we've looked at so far. Remember that the present tense is things that we do, and the present perfect are things that we have done. Okay, so hope you've all been practicing a lot. If you're not in a position where you don't live in a place where you can practice much Spanish, one good thing to always do is to just practice reading things out over and over again, because although you might think, oh, what's the point in that? But it just gets your mouth around the words, because quite often people know quite good Spanish, but it's getting it out is another matter. And you find that you use your mouth a lot more when you speak Spanish, so you need to be enunciating your words a lot more. So it's always a good idea to just sit at home and practice reading things out loud. The newspaper, storybooks, etc. So it's not about even if you know what you're saying or not, it's just practicing saying the words, and this is how eventually your pronunciation gets better and better. Okay, so we're in the Break the Language Barrier book, level 2, as I say, page 24. If you have the book. If you don't have the Break the Language Barrier level 2, you can buy it on any Amazon site or through my website. You don't need it to follow the tutorial. You can follow the tutorial perfectly well without it, but sometimes some people do have the book and they like to sit and go through it at the same time. So, okay, so here on page 24, if you do have the book, what it outlines first of all is the verb ser in the present tense, then the verb estar in the present tense, and then ser in the present perfect and estar in the present perfect. So in the present tense, if we were to conjugate the verb ser, which in English is I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, yous are, they are. If we were to do that using the verb ser, we would say soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. So it's very important to just learn that verb. You should be able to know that verb in the present tense, reel it off just like you can learn it just like you learn your times table or used to learn your timetable. Just repetition, repetition. Remember, we don't necessarily need to say yo soy, because soy is I am, it can't mean anything else. So we don't need the persons in Spanish. Like we do in English, we have to say I, you, or he or she, or nobody would know who we were talking about. But in Spanish, we don't need to say the yo, or the tú, or the él, or the nosotros, or etc. Generally, we don't need to use them because the verb is individual. So, soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. Present tense, ser. Then we've got estar, the other verb to be in Spanish. Again, means nothing different in English at all. We don't have two verbs to be. So we're still looking at I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, yous are, they are. So, but this time for estar, we've got estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. Okay, so two completely different verbs for just the one verb in English. In a minute, we'll look at what the difference is between them. Sorry, little drink. Then in the present perfect, which in English would translate to have been. So we're saying here, I have been, you have been, he, she, it has been, yous have been. Sorry, we have been, yous have been, they have been. Now, bear in mind that this is not the verb that you use to say you have been to the shops or you have been to the beach. That we would use the verb to go, ir, and that would be ido. Yeah, so this is been as in if you've ever been a student or if you've ever been in Mexico or if you've ever been sad. So all the times that we would use ser or estar, this is the been that we're talking about here, not the been as in where you have been. That is, for that we in Spanish, we use the verb to go, ir, and we use ido. So ser in this tense will be he sido, has sido, ha sido, hemos sido, habéis sido, han sido. So we're using this little have verb, haber, the H verb I call it because people think of the verb to have as being tener, but tener is to have possessions. This verb is to have done something, and it's often people don't get it when they hear it because we don't pronounce the H. So he sido is actually he, sido, as sido, has. But because we don't pronounce the H, we just miss that out completely. And then when it comes to estar, it's the H verb part is the same. He estado, has estado, ha estado, hemos estado, habéis estado, han estado. Okay, so they mean the same in English. I have been, you have been, he, she, it has been, we have been, yous have been, they have been. So, when do we use ser? Well, there are previous tutorials on this, so if you've not seen them, it's always a good idea to have a look back on them if you're not sure about ser and estar. In one of the tutorials, there's also a mnemonic, caprint and flomits, which helps you remember when to use ser and when to use estar. I'm just going to briefly go through the things here now. One thing that I really want to stress is a lot of people think of ser as the permanent verb. Oh, it's the permanent things. That's not true. It's not always for permanent things, and estar is not always for temporary things. So I don't like to think of it that way. I think you're better to think of the different criteria when we use ser and estar, and try and, with the caprint and flomits, for example, anytime you're trying to work out which one it is, try and fit it into one of those categories. That's the reason, not permanent or temporary. Some things, yes, but not everything. Okay, so we use it to talk about our identity, yeah, our nationality, our origin. Yeah, soy Vicki, that's my identity. Soy inglesa, my nationality. Soy de Manchester, that's my origin. We use it to describe our physical appearance, but not only physical appearance, like I would say, soy rubia, but we would also use what sort of person we are, you know. Soy abierta, I'm an open person, or soy timida, I am a timid person, you know. So those sort of things. It's not only physical appearance, but your personality traits, what kind of person you are. But we also use it for profession, so that's one of the exceptions to the permanent rule. soy profesora, and of course you can change your profession. And we use it for time, yeah, when we tell it, saying when is the class, cuando es la clase, or what time is it, que hora es. We use it for natural colours, and we use, somebody asked me the other day in class, what do you mean by a natural colour? Well, a natural colour is the accepted colour of something, like a banana is yellow. If somebody asked you to describe bananas, you'd say bananas are yellow. Well, sometimes they're green or black if they're not ripe enough or they're overripe. That is when we would use estar for that colour, because that is not the normal colour of a banana. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and estar, when do we use estar? Well, estar we use for location. That's the most important time that we use estar, whether it's permanent or temporary. Madrid está en España. It doesn't matter if it's always going to be there, it is estar. So, location, very important. Then we use estar to talk about, as opposed to what we look like or what kind of person we are, how we're feeling, yeah, happy, sad, tired, angry, etc. These would all be estar, because these are feelings, moods, emotions. We use estar to talk about if we're ill, estoy enferma, because hopefully that's not, it's a temporary state, it's not going to go on forever. Though it just shows you that you can use ser for that, and that would be more of a chronic illness, vale? Okay, so yeah, moods, feelings, emotions, temporary states, dirty, clean, open, closed, things that are not an intrinsic part of what someone or something is, but are more just the state they are in at the moment. Okay, vale. So that's más o menos the difference between ser and estar. If you're still not sure, have a look at some of the other videos about ser and estar, and particularly the Caprins and Flomets video. Okay, so we're going to practice A. In practice A, the first section, they were all ser, but you did have to choose whether they were, because we're now dealing with two tenses. So you're choosing whether it's present tense or present perfect. So remember, the clues are present tense are things we do. Yeah, that we regular habits and routines in the present. Present perfect are things we have done. Okay, so there's normally a clue in the sentence. And actually, as we go along, I will point out the clues to you. So, number one, we are English. That's a nice, easy one for guessing whether it's ser or estar, because it's nationality. So you would say somos. You could say nosotros, but you don't need it. Somos ingleses. And because it's we have to make the adjective. Again, there's another tutorial on making adjectives plural or masculine or feminine. There's lots of other videos available to look at. I would recommend anything you're not sure about, have a look down and see if you can find it and watch that video. Somos ingleses. So, yeah, Englishes, more or less. Número dos, the table is square. La mesa es cuadrada. And this is a characteristic, that's why it's ser. And it is cuadrada because mesa is feminine. Número tres, they have been teachers for 20 years. So we would say, han sido profesores. So this one is ser because it's profession. So again, quite a clear one. Now, when you're saying for a period of time, there's that, as well as ser and estar, the other problem that most students have is deciding between por and para. And in this case, as it's a period of time, it would be por. So, han sido profesores por Now, to avoid saying por or para, you can use durante. So, han sido profesores por o durante, but not para 20 años. Número 4, she has always been tall. So that's a characteristic, a physical characteristic. So that would be ser. That's why it's ser. Ha sido, actually, I'm going to put the siempre at the beginning. I like to put these adverbs of frequency, always, sometimes, never. You can put them in more than one place, but in my opinion, it's always easier just to put them at the beginning. Siempre ha sido alta. So, because it's she, it's alta. Número 5, they are from Spain. Again, is origin or nationality, the way you could look at it. They are from Spain, so that's why it's ser. Son de España. So remember that España is Spain and Español is Spanish. Número 6, going over now to page 26. Who is Juan? So this is identity. ¿Quién es Juan? Número 7, I have never been his friend. So again, the nunca for the never, easier to put the beginning, then you don't have to use a double negative. Nunca he sido su amiga. I would say amiga because I'm a woman, but if you're a man, you'll say amigo. Número 8, are they Spanish? Again, nationality. Son españoles? So you make the Spanishes. Are they Spanishes? Because we have to make the adjective plural also. Son españoles. And then número 9, which is have yous ever been a student? So, habéis sido, or let's put the alguna vez first. See, now I've been saying it's better to do that. ¿Alguna vez habéis sido un estudiante? Or estudiante? Or estudiantes? Because you're talking to more than one person. So you can really choose either for that. Y número 10, when is the class? This is time. So time is always ser. ¿Cuándo es la clase? Notice that clase is one of those exceptions. It's feminine, even though it ends in an E. So, practice B. These are all estar, and as we go through them, I'll read them out in English, and then I'll read them in Spanish, and again, explain why it's estar rather than ser. Just have a little drink, sorry. So, number 1. Now, we have been in England, and the reason we can use the estar here rather than the ir, if it was we have been to England, we would use ir and say hemos ido a Inglaterra. But because this is we have been in England, it's location, hemos estado en Inglaterra. Número 2, the table is dirty, a temporary state. It's not a characteristic of the table that it's dirty. We can clean it and then it's clean. But it's not like it's big or it's small. La mesa está sucia. So again, sucia because it's la mesa. Are you tired? ¿Estás cansado or cansada? Depends if you're asking a man or a woman. And that is a temporary state. Estáis, are yous happy? Yeah, plural you. ¿Estáis felices? So again, happies. Are you happies? Or we could use contentos, yeah? And then, or alegres también. So a lot of different ways we might say the happy bit, but it has to be plural because it's yous. She is in the garden. This is a case where we might want to say ella because otherwise we wouldn't know if it's he or she. Ella está en el jardín. Location, that's why it's estar. they have been ill. So this is ill, which hopefully is a temporary state. So han estado enfermos, plural. They have been ills. Número siete, I have been very sad. Again, this time it's a mood or an emotion. He estado muy triste. Then number 8, Paris is in France, present tense. Paris está en Francia because it's location. The children are ill is present tense. Los niños están enfermos. So plural because it's the children. And then número 10, this apple is black, again present tense. Esta manzana está negra. So it's esta because it's not the normal natural colour of the apple. If it's black, it's because it's gone off. So it's not its natural colour. So esta manzana está negra. Negra because manzana is feminine. Good. Then we come to practice C, which is where you had to guess, well, hopefully not guess, where you had to work out whether it was Sarah or Estar. So, numero uno, where are you from? Present tense, where are you from? And this is, sorry, not location, origin, because it's where are you from, not where are you. De donde eres? Number 2, where have they been? There's your clue there that is present perfect because of the have. Where have they been? Donde han estado? Location. Where is my car? Present tense. Again, location. Donde está mi coche? Número 4, the ball is red. Characteristic, the normal colour of the ball. La pelota es roja. So, pelota, feminine, roca, feminine. If you use balón, it'd be roco, because it's balón is masculine. Número 5, Geordie and Maria have been very tired today. So your clue is have been to decide which tense it is. It is the present perfect. Very tired, emotional state. So, es estar. Jordi y María han estado muy cansados, plural, and it's masculine because it's a man and a woman, so the masculine takes precedence. Hoy. So, Jordi y María han estado muy cansados hoy. How are you? Número 6 is asking how you're feeling, not what do you look like. So it's ¿cómo estás? Estar. What is Pedro like? That's asking for a description of him. So this one is ser rather than estar. ¿Cómo es Pedro? So it is literally how is Pedro, but using the permanent verb. So then we know it's asking for a description. Numero 8, always a tricky one. Who are we with? Now, people often think this is location, but because it's who, they think it's identity, but it's not. It's location. And who are we with? In Spanish, in a question, the with comes first. Con quién estamos? Number 9, the cats have been on the terrace all morning. So that's location. And have been, so it's present perfect. Los gatos han estado en la terraza toda la mañana. Number 10, the house is dirty. Hopefully a temporary state. Depends, some houses it's a permanent state, but anyway, we're going to presume it's a temporary state. La casa está sucia. Sucia, because casa, femenino. Y número 11, Jose has always been a very good looking man. So, José siempre ha sido un hombre muy guapo. You could just say un guapo, I suppose. And that is a characteristic, what he looks like. So that is ser, and it's present perfect because it's he has been always. Notice that in English we can put the always in the middle there, but in Spanish you can't. Siempre ha sido un guapo or un hombre muy guapo. Número 12, number 12, Maria and Belen are blonde, and they're both women. So Maria y Belen son rubias, and it's present tense, and it's characteristic description of a person as being blonde, so son rubias. Manuel and number 13, Manuel and Begonia have been lawyers in the city since 2006. So Manuel y Begonia han sido. So present perfect because it's have been, and it's ser because it's a profession. Manuel y Begonia han sido abogados en la ciudad desde 2005. He has, number 14, he has been my best friend for 10 years. This is a personal relationship. This also, if you look at the Ser and the Caprington Flomits video, you'll see that personal relationships, you know, he is my brother, she is my sister, they are my friends. Any personal relationship is always ser. So also you could think of it as a possessive thing, my friend, he is my friend, but bueno, I prefer to think of it as a personal relationship. And again, it's present perfect because it's he has been, and it's ser. So, ha sido mi mejor amigo. And here's that for a period of time. So this can either be por 10 años or durante 10 años, but not para. And number 15, the last one, when is the Spanish class? That is time, yeah? So that is ser, it's present tense, when is the Spanish class? So, ¿cuándo es la clase de español? Vale, did you get them all right? If you did, give yourself a special gold star for getting all the says and estars right, and maybe getting as well the tenses correct. Obviously, tenses get more complicated as we go along because we'll be learning other tenses also. But anyway, we'll learn how to distinguish between the tenses as well. So don't worry about that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really appreciate people watching my videos, and I really hope that they help you in your journey to learn Spanish. If you did enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to be notified of future videos coming out, please subscribe somewhere down below. I think there's a button for subscribe. I think there's also a little bell button that you can press, and that means that you actually get notified when a new video comes out. Yeah, and if you do want to buy the Break the Language Barrier books, they go from level 1 for beginner. They're all accompanied by audio, except for level 4. I haven't got around to the audio on level 4 yet, but I will be putting it on the YouTube channel. So start off for a beginner with Break the Language Barrier level 1. Sometimes even beginners with a base like this to go through this book first, because it gives a good grounding. Because what you'll find about my method is it's a gradual build. So sometimes it's good to go right back to the beginning if you've learnt Spanish somewhere else, and you might know a bit of this and a bit of that, but this tends to put it together. So sometimes it's good to go through level 1 before you go into the other levels. So level 1 is all about the present tense, alphabet pronunciation, numbers, ser and estar, I, descriptions of people, etc. And that's all in level 1. If you're brave enough to go on to level 2, which is where we are at the moment, the pain barrier, I call it, because then we start to go into past tenses, pronouns, things that are a little bit tricky, to be honest. And then if you come through the pain barrier and you want to go into level 3, where we go into future tenses, imperative, we practice the past tenses that we've learned, we do a few more pronouns, etc. So it all builds up gradually. And if you really, really are enjoying learning Spanish and you want to learn the subjunctive, that is explained very clearly and as simply as possible in the Break the Language Barrier level 4. And all these I will be doing tutorials on. That's what I'm working my way through at the moment. But if you have anything that you would like me to do a video on, or anything you would like clarifying, or anything you'd like to see in the videos, please get in touch with me. I really appreciate any feedback. But basically, thank you for watching y hasta la próxima. Vale, adiós.